spreading throughout the land and across the oceans, expanding our kingdom and discovering new people and great riches in faraway lands.
You need to know two things about Sid Meier's Civilization V. It's fun, and it's going to keep you up really late. No surprise there to fans of the series, though there are many changes that fans will notice. One of them is that this turn-based strategy game takes place on a hex grid rather than squares. Another is the way combat has changed to become more tactical and more enjoyable. There are other improvements, changes, and interface adjustments too, of course, but what matters most is how Civ V manages to be both friendly for newcomers and complex for veterans. Whether you want to micromanage or focus on the big picture, you'll be glued to the screen hours upon hours of thoughtful fun. There are a few annoyances here and there, such as how the game makes military victory easier to achieve than more peaceful brands of success, but small quibbles aside, Civilization V is yet another fantastic iteration in a series that has constantly exuded quality at every turn.
मैं आपकी शांति की कामना करता हूँ.
If you're new to the franchise, here's what you need to know about Civilization V. You select a civilization from one of 19 choices, and turn by turn, you lead it from one era to the next with the goal of achieving global domination. There are 4 ways to win: by defeating your enemies using military might, by a cultural victory in which you have set the greatest number of social policies and accomplished the mysterious Utopia project, a scientific victory in which you are the first to fly to the stars, and diplomatic victory in which other civilizations and city-states vote on their support in the United Nations. Well, there is a 5th victory condition as well, to have the highest score when the timer runs out. Each leader gets a bonus from the beginning which supports a particular style of play. Russia gets resource bonuses, Rome gets production bonuses, the Iroquois get movement bonuses, and so on. From here, you use this bonus to your advantage as you build up territory, build military units, send workers off to collect resources, and enhance your cities with structures that further boost other aspects of the game in progress. You need to think about gold production, trading luxury items with other civilizations, barbarians that roam the lands, the happiness of your citizens, and a lot more. Everything is intertwined with everything else, and you always need to think a few steps ahead. There's a lot to keep track of, but Civilization V's interface makes it easy to stay on top of things. When attacking, you get a preview of how successful your attack's gonna be. A single button takes you through each necessary action within each turn, so you never lose track of units, which is really helpful late in the game. You can automate your workers and set your citizens to focus their efforts on a particular goal, like gold or culture. Some of the interface could have done with a bit of cleaning up, such as the diplomatic overview, where you have to identify the little icons to figure out which luxury resources other civilizations are harvesting. But whether you're new to the series or an old veteran, it's a snap to keep track of things so that you can focus on the big picture. Of course, if you prefer to get your hands dirty and command your workers to build every road and every farm without any automation, you can do that too. The AI does a pretty good job of making decisions, and your advisors are always there if you need a bit of guidance. The main AI issue is the way units set to automatically explore will think nothing of wandering into neutral territory. Doing so damages your relationship with city-states, which are another new addition. It would have been nice to toggle whether or not auto-exploring units should enter neutral territory on their own. If you've played Civilization before, the 2 most noticeable changes are the switch to hexes instead of squares, and the inability to stack your units. If you fear change, don't worry. These are both positive changes that give movement more flow and make battles more tactical. With these tactical battles layered onto the strategic map, you need to be more conscious of your unit's weaknesses and strengths and consider your location and weapon range. Furthermore, units level up and you can grant them terrain bonuses, range of sight bonuses, make them more effective against certain types of units, and so on. Conversely, you can also fully heal a unit upon leveling, which can come in mighty handy if the timing is right. Additionally, many units can fortify until healed if you're able to move them to safety. All of these additions make for fun and sometimes tense tactical battles in which you must constantly be aware of which units you're sending to which hexes. And it's a good thing using brawn is always so enjoyable, since even seemingly peaceful civilizations will attack if they perceive you to be any kind of threat. Typically, aggressive nations like China may go from being ally to enemy quickly, and simply defending yourself from invasion might prompt other friendly nations to attack you because you are a threat to them. All of this when you were just trying to focus on a peaceful victory. Cultural and other less bombastic wins are certainly possible, but the AI does skew to the domination side, which can make your less aggressive plans ring a little bit hollow.
मेरे दोस्त, क्या इस इंतज़ाम में आपकी दिलचस्पी है?
The addition of city-states is an interesting one. These individual AI-controlled cities function like mini-civilizations with limited diplomatic options. By gifting them with gold or doing tasks for them like defeating nearby barbarian camps, you'll come into their favor. Once you're allies, they may gift you with units and they will fight at your side if you go to war. On the other hand, you could royally tick off a competing civilization that has become allies with a particular city-state if you aren't careful. And if you're particularly aggressive against these regions, all of the city-states might rise up against you, which also means you'll have major civilizations breathing down your neck too. City-states have a more subtle effect than you would hope for at first. In the early game, for example, the gold expense to befriend one just isn't worth it because your relationship will dissolve quickly. But in mid and late game, they can become a greater help, taking pressure off of you and casting votes in the United Nations if you're hoping for diplomatic victory. For what it's worth, religion is gone, and you could argue that city-states have a similar role in the overall scheme of any given game. Not always essential, but different enough to add flavor and have subtle but noticeable effects if you use them to your advantage. There's so much to talk about in a big game like Civilization V. It's wonderful to look at. Your fellow leaders that appear on the screen look fantastic and have a lot of character. Leonard Nimoy no longer provides the voiceover, but the narration still strikes the right serious but soothing tone. Wonders, banks, gunships, hoplites, submarines, elephants, incense, these all have a place in a typical game of Civilization V. For more information, check the written review because it gets into more detail than I can here. But know this, Civilization V is another impressive turn-based strategy landmark that will keep you clicking from one turn to the next, only to glance at your watch and discover that what felt like an hour turned into 6. That's the mark of a special game. Of course, previous Civ games have had the same effect, but what makes Civilization V worthy of the series is that it retains that addictive nature without simply resting on its laurels. The result is fresh and exciting, and a game that will delight newcomers and experts alike.